Hello, friends. I'm Leah Carey, and I am here to talk about pop culture. I have done these in a bunch of different places over the years. Was recently done a few on Instagram, but it feels like YouTube is really the right place for them. And I've decided that I'm going to do them live rather than pre-edited because then I won't get caught up spending hours and hours trying to edit them to perfection because I can't help myself. Once you give me an editing tool, that's it. I'm done for days. So if I do them live, it just has to be what it's going to be. So let's do this. Today we're going to look at some scenes from this week's episode of The Bachelorette with Jenn Tran. This week was episode 4. And, chances are good that if you watch The Bachelorette, you already know the scenes I'm gonna talk about, but I hope that we can give them a little bit more nuance and, help you to see even a little bit deeper into what's going on here in terms of coercion. So, in this scene, Jen is on a one-on-one date with Sam. They are up at the top of a tower having some drinks, and we suddenly see some bodies fly past the window. And Jen realizes we're about to have to jump off the building, and I don't really want to do that. Before we get started, I do want to make it very clear that what we're watching is highly edited. And the more that I watched it while pulling these clips out, the more I realized just how highly edited Sam in particular is. So I want to be very clear that I have no idea who Sam M is and how he moves in the world. But what we're seeing is an edited version. It's a character. It's a character that the editors have created. It's not the full reality of who Sam is. So we're gonna be looking at behaviors, and I'm gonna be commenting on what we see on the screen, but let's just, keep in mind that that is not an actual person I'm commenting on. It's a facade that has been created by the editors. Okay, so let's start. We are at the top of the tower, and we've just seen these bodies fly past, and this waiter obviously has been prompted by production to come over and encourage them to jump off the building. And I want you to pay particular attention to how Sam responds.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but we just had a fantastic jump from the roof. That's a unique lifetime experience. You should try. So you don't have to jump, but you can walk around the tower and just enjoy the view.
A walk sounds lovely.
Jump?
No, we would like to jump.
Okay, so he clearly gets the signal from the waiter, clearly gets the signal from Jen. Nope, I'm not jumping, not interested. And he switches to the alternate option, which is you can just go up and take a walk. Now, at this point, she probably doesn't have any idea about what going up and taking a walk entails, but she says, yes, I think that taking a walk would be fine. And Sam jumps in and says, no, we're going to jump. Obviously, big red warning signs, flashing red lights. No, not okay. And here's why. It's not just that he's made the decision for her as if he had ordered a meal for her at a restaurant. He is overriding her bodily autonomy. He is saying, I know better about what you are going to do with your body than you do. I know better about what your body wants, what your spirit wants, what your brain wants than you do. Huge red flags just to start out with. Okay, and then their interaction continues. She says, wait a minute, buddy. This is a two-person decision. I get to make this decision on my own." And he says,
You think you're just making the decision for me to jump?
Usually I'm not like that, but this one, yes.
Why?
Because in 50 years from now, you'll be able to look back and you'll be like, damn, I'm glad I.
Okay, so again, he has made a decision about what she's going to think 50 years from now. He is, and this is the way that coercion, the way that he is presenting this is very coercive. So if you would think about being forced to do something would be, no, you have no decision, get up, we're going now. And there's no other option. This is coercion. This is, you just don't know what you want, little girl. And so I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to keep telling you until you change your mind to to make the decision I want you to make. You'll regret this if you don't do it. That is a very coercive statement. And if you hear somebody making that statement, whether it's, somebody on a date or whether it's somebody in a store suggesting that you spend money, anybody who's saying you'll regret if you don't is probably running a con to some degree. Similarly, if somebody says, "Oh, 24 hours," or "You have to make a decision by the end of this call," that is a con. You don't have to make a decision by the end of the call. Whatever price they're offering you is just a price that they're offering that they could just as well offer next Tuesday. All of it is a mental and emotional con. And so the goal here is to hear the words, sort of pick them apart here in this circumstance, so that when we hear them in other circumstances, we understand what we're hearing. Okay, next.
Bounce off that.
They get up on the roof. Oh, no, they're not up on the roof yet.
You can't convince me to jump.
You can't convince me to jump. Don't worry. I'll just give you a little push. More of the your body is mine to do with as I please. This is not just disrespectful. This is, and again, I'm talking about the character that we're being seen. We don't know how he has been manipulated in edit, but what we are seeing is manipulative and abusive. That is not okay. For her to say, "I don't want to," and him to say, "Oh, don't worry, just get up there and I'll give you a little push." Not okay. Okay. I can't tell. It looks like my video is not synced up with what's going out. So I hope that it's starting and stopping at the correct times. But if I'm talking over video, I apologize. Okay. So now they're going to be up on the roof, I think.
A little push.
I'm actually unhappy and I don't want to do this.
I do understand that, but at the end of the day, what I want to be able to do is look back with hopefully my future wife and say, hey, aren't you
I was wrong. They're not on the roof yet. I keep trying to get them there too early. Okay, so now listen to how he is presenting the argument. She says, "Nope, not interested." And he says, "Okay, but what I want to be able to do is look back with my wife." So he is making a lot of big assumptions here. He's assuming that she likes him enough to do this in the first place. He's assuming that she likes him enough to keep him to the end of this dating experience. He assumes that she likes him enough to get married. And he's assuming that his desire is more important than hers. I want to be able to do this with my future wife. Well, where is she in that statement? She does not exist in that statement. He is talking entirely about his own desires. I'm not even going to predict whether they're on the roof this time or not.
glad we did that? I'm pumped. I know she's a little nervous, but I love the heart racing, the adrenaline, I think is one of the closest areas you can get.
Okay, again, I love the heart racing. I love the way that this makes me feel alive, and so I know she doesn't wanna do it, but she's going to because I love it. Reminder that first of all, everybody gets to make their own decisions. Let's just like autonomy should be written across the head of this video. Um, but also, not everybody gets thrills in the same way you do. I have 0 interest in sort of, what are they called? Like high risk, high adrenaline sports. I have had quite enough adrenaline in my life. Thank you very much. I do not need artificial adrenaline. Never have, probably never will. I like to watch TV and read a book and hang out with friends. That's what I love to do. So were you saying that if that's what I love, then it's okay for me to tell you that you should be doing it because that will show me that somehow we're a good match? The whole thing is just so twisted. Okay, moving on.
To really feeling alive. At the end of the day, I want her to be comfortable, but I also want her to be comfortable being uncomfortable. This is going to be a moment for her to kind of conquer her fears a little bit, and at the end of it, she'll
Oh, this just makes me um I want her to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Who the hell are you to decide whether that is the kind of person she is? What he's doing here is sort of giving us a peek into the fact that he has created a fantasy of who the person is that he wants to be with, and he has decided to slot Jen into that fantasy with absolutely no regard for whether she's the right person and whether she wants to be part of that fantasy or not. When we create relationships, we have to begin at the beginning, which is, who are you? What do you like? How would you like for us to interact? Here's who I am. Here's what I like. Here's how I like for us to interact. Now, now that we know that, do the two of us match? Would we spend time well together? Not, well, she doesn't want to do this, but I want her to be the kind of person who does. And I know that once she does it, she'll be happy that she did. Screw you. That is what I have to say about that.
be happy that she did it. I'll do whatever. If you tell me to do something, I'll do it. And I'll let she can.
Okay, now this one is seemingly innocuous and to me really troubling. So in case you weren't able to hear that real well, the instructor that they're all like rigged in to take the walk around the tower, and the instructor guide whatever says to him, do you want to try something? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll take whatever challenge you give me. And then he says, and she can just watch, which is a very pointed put down, but also it is phrased in a way that it could sail right under the radar. Nobody would even notice. I was looking at some videotape yesterday of my father from actually from the night I was born. He was on TV that night, and I have a tape of it. And because he was the auctioneer at PBS auction, and this rug, this like quintessential 1970s rug came out, and he is describing it and he says, well, that is a rug. Or that's not exactly what he said, but it was something like that. Something that's not actually what he said, because that I think you actually would clock as being sarcastic. He said something like, well, that's a fine rug for whoever has it in their home, something like that. And because I know him, because I know the way that he used words, I know that that was something that if you're the one who it's pointed at, is meant to cut you off at the knees, but it sails right over the head of everybody else. And that is what I see here with Sam. This she can just watch is his subtle put down, and it is another step in coercing her to do the thing, to go past the boundaries that she has set.
Watching if you want.
Heels over the edge for me. Bends in those knees, and I want you to lean on back. Beautiful.
I think you should at least come over here.
This makes me so mad. So he, follows the instructions. He sort of leans back, so he's leaning off of the structure, and he turns to Jenn and he says, "I think you should come here and give me a kiss." One more pushing of boundaries. So if we're thinking about this in terms of what happens in the bedroom, this is the guy who gets you, who like starts kissing and making out and says, "Oh, like it's fine if we don't go all the way. It's fine. We'll just make out a little." And then he puts his hand on let's use bases so that we don't get dinged by YouTube. He gets to second base and you're like, I don't know, but it's okay. And then he gets to, rounding third and you're like, I am not comfortable with this, but he said we're just gonna make out, and so I know that our pants are gonna stay on, and so I'm just gonna let him do the thing that he kinda wants to do because it's easier than, running out. I don't wanna be that girl, and then all of a sudden you are all the way into something you do not want, you didn't want, because he just keeps pushing the boundaries. He just keeps moving the end goal further and further.
Give me a kiss. That's what I think you should do.
Let's just give it a go. If you can do skydiving, you can do this. And you got Sam right next to you. Sure.
I'm really all
So here's another thing that people can do when they're being really coercive and manipulative. They can get other people to add pressure too. Now, I understand that in this situation, this woman, it's her job to help people overcome their fears. I get that. She's also a producer puppet. She's been brought, she's being paid by the producers to get Jenn to do something she doesn't want to do. So these are sort of extenuating circumstances. But with that said, my bet is that in her regular job. When she's doing this with people who aren't on television, she is making sure that people are doing things that they want to do. She's pushing them to do the things that she sees they already want to do, but are afraid to take that step, which is very much not what Jenn is doing here. Jenn is petrified and she is clearly saying over and over and over and over, "No, I don't want to. This is not fun. This is not a good idea. I don't want to do this." So, if you imagine, let's say, a group of teenage guys, and one of them really wants to, hook up with this girl, he might kind of engage his buddies to add some pressure so that she will go hook up with him, even though that's not exactly what she wants, but she doesn't wanna look like a fool in front of all of the cool guys. Alright, now watch what he does here. I think this is fascinating.
that, yeah.
I
Thank
didn't
you.
hit
Try leaning
play.
next to him. You can do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Alright, so I'm curious to know whether a producer kinda gave him the high sign like, "Dude, you are messing this up." But regardless of how and why he decided to change tacts, he has now come out and shown himself as the good guy. "Oh, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Let me take care of you. I'm here for you. I only want what is best for you," which enhances her trust in him so that then the next time he pushes, she's more likely to give in.
Seriously, don't. All right, don't do it.
I don't think Sam really understood the gravity of my fears, but ultimately Sam did show up for me, and that's what I needed. I just
And
needed
this is how we fool ourselves into ignoring red flags. He has just spent this entire time trying to push past her boundaries, trying to negate her bodily autonomy, trying to wear down her sense of self so that he can get what he wants. And then all he has to do is turn in that moment and say, "Oh, you don't have to do it if you don't want to." And suddenly what she hears is, "Oh, he really cares. He really did hear me." No, no, what he did was recognize that what he was doing wasn't working and he changed tactics. And what happens next is that she jumps off the building. And she says, "Oh, that was great. Well, I'm really glad I did it. I would never jump off a building again." But she has been coerced and manipulated into doing something that she very clearly said she did not want to do. If you remember a few episodes ago, she jumped out of a plane. That was something that she said she had wanted to do. She was still terrified, and it took a lot of courage for her to do it, but that was something that she wanted to do. And so the encouragement was helpful. This is something she very clearly said she did not want to do, which makes all of this kind of pushing, 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 pushing. That's why I'm calling it manipulative and coercive. All
someone to
right, just a
understand
couple
how I was
short ones.
feeling and be there for me, and he was.
Jenn took a huge leap for me today. Like he just said the quiet part out loud. She did it for me because I wanted her to and I told her to, and so she did. She took a huge leap for me today. Not she took a huge leap for herself today. Not she decided to make a decision about what she wanted to do with her body and she did it. No, she took a huge leap for me. Listen to how people use their words. They give us so much insight into what is actually most important to them. Just one more very short clip.
Jen took a huge leap for me today.
We very often can mistake sparks and like that frisson of that's not how you say it, of excitement, but like big feelings. We can very easily misdiagnose those as attraction and even love. I would suggest that when you get to the end of a day, if what you have to say about, let's say it's a date, if what you have to say is it was a roller coaster of emotions, that is probably someone you don't want to go on another date with. Yes, we wanna be excited about somebody. Yes, we want there to be anticipation and fun and sparks and all of those things, but roller coaster of emotions, that should serve as a big red warning flag. Sam is full of red flags, just about everywhere we turn. And that doesn't even cover how he keeps threatening to punch people back at the house. Again, I want to be clear. We're talking about Sam as a character who's being edited to look the worst he possibly can. He's being edited to look like a villain. And with that said, they're doing a very good job. So that is it for today. I am Leah Carey. I am a sex and relationship coach. You can find me online at leahcarey.com and come listen to my podcast, which is Good Girls Talk About Sex. You can find it on any of your regular podcasting platforms. Thanks. I'll see you again soon. Bye.